and we are back with Inward Bound for Mindful Living with Mr. Deepal Suryarachi. I have a very important question for you. I told you earlier that that experience was completely liberating, and I'm sure the audience would agree as well when they follow along. Now we are in a situation where it's calm, it's serene, it's in the evening, and it's greenery all around. Now I'm going to go home now, Mr. Suryarachi, and how am I supposed to incorporate this out of context situation into my day-to-day life? And I'm sure the audience also has the same question.
That was the advertising part. That's a very good question. And a lot of the time, people try to make a mistake. They try to experience this all the time. Life is not like that. But one very important thing that we learn when you try to become mindful, right? I still haven't come on to a few other techniques like becoming mindfulness of breath and things like that. So what you do is you learn to bring your mind to the present moment. Okay? Now, at home, you can do this at selected times, maybe beginning of the day. If you are not rushing, I recommend that's the best way to start the day, right? For example, you can take a cup of, I know most people rush the morning cup of tea, but that's if you can do that, that's a good moment to relax. You know, listen to the birds. Right now in the cities, you have more birds than in the villages, right? And you find a few minutes, do this exercise that we did. That's one. But there are far more simpler things to do to learn to bring your mind to the present moment. For example, now this is an evening, you go home, when you brush your teeth tonight, okay, try to see whether you can brush your teeth and do only that. Okay, so you become fully aware of the whole process. Do it little slow. Now one way of learning any skill is first doing small steps and doing it slow. Then you combine, right? So this is exactly the same. So what you do is you take your toothpaste, put a little bit onto the toothbrush and take it, and then you decide to brush. Okay, don't allow the habit to just it go in, and then start consciously brush, because we were told in schools, you know, how to brush, yes. You know, right? Do exactly the same way. And then invariably, because it's such an autopilot activity, you will be thinking of something else. The moment you realize that, stop and say, I'm brushing, and come back to brushing. So you try to do this, right? So your brushing becomes a mindful exercise of brushing, right? And you can use any routine work that you do to do this. To do what? To bring the mind to the present moment, right? Now, once you develop that skill more and more, then what happens is it spreads out in your whole life. Then you are driving. Driving is a fascinating thing, moment to practice mindfulness, especially on our roads, right? How to do that? Now, we can, we normally drive thinking, doing, talking, and of course some people even texting, right? But if you remind yourself, I'm driving, come back to driving. And it is proven that every time somebody meets with gets involved in an accident or misses an accident, you know, at that particular moment, your mind was not in driving. I'm proof, right? Every time I have had in my life a near miss, at that split second, I was not on driving, something else. So if you can constantly remind yourself about what you are doing, then you learn this art of bringing mind to the present moment. That's part of it.
So in essence, what you're saying is to incorporate mindfulness in this context of, you know, focusing on everything that you do at that very moment.
Yes.
Don't make it something separate from what you do in your day-to-day life.
Yes. And more importantly, the important thing is to notice that your mind is wandering. But sometimes, for example, say when you want to create a piece of advertising or some creative thing, you allow your mind to go anywhere and pick non-related things. That's okay, right? No, because that's how creative things happen.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is, you use whatever you do to develop this ability to bring your mind to what you are doing when you want, right? Actually, even thinking can be a very interesting activity, right? Rather than allowing thinking to happen, you can say, I'm going to think about this tomorrow morning. You make an appointment to think, and then you put all your energies to that. It's far more productive than thinking like this. You know, I'm thinking, but actually you're not thinking. You are just, as if like when kids are told, look at a book, read a book, they just open the book and wait. No? It's like that.
I think we had a very productive session, to coin a word that you used, Mr. Suvarachi, today. And on that note, I think we will end today's session. Until next time, goodbye.